Hello and welcome to the first video in the series Educational Videos for Novice Java Programmers. My name is George King and I'm currently a master's student here at the University of Kent, and I'll be presenting today's video. Some of the videos in this series will be presented by my colleague Deepak Kumar, a fellow student here at the university. The aim of this 8-part series is to show you some of the most frequent errors that novice Java programmers encounter and how to avoid them or how to fix them. By errors, we are referring to both syntactical errors and semantic errors that are found during compile time and during runtime, along with a few things that we feel benefit you to become an all-round better Java programmer. This series is aimed at first-year university students studying computer science or similar programming courses, or in fact anyone who already has a knowledge of Java programming. This series is not trying to teach you Java from scratch. Instead, address some of the difficulties that novices face when learning to program. So to give you an idea on what the series will contain, the 2 following videos after this one will be based on syntax errors, showing you why certain errors are produced and how to fix them. After that, videos 4 and 5 will focus on semantic errors. This differs from syntax errors, which are shown to you by the compiler, telling you something is wrong in the code, whereas semantic errors are when the program's behavior is different from that expected by the programmer, even if the code is syntactically correct. Next, video 6 will be on loops, comparing different loops and the specific errors that comes with certain loops, along with the pitfalls that you should be aware of when choosing which loop to use and how to program them efficiently. Finally, videos 7 and 8 will be on debugging, which my colleague and myself feel needs to be brought to light, as it is a vital skill for any programmer, which seems to be neglected during the education of programming. The debugging techniques that we are going to show you will help you save time when trying to isolate errors in your code that are often difficult to find. So that's how the series is going to go, but first, let's get started with this video. Firstly, I would like to talk about IDEs, which stand for Integrated Development Environment. The software is used to write code and develop programs. Research into the education of Java programming has shown that students tend to have an over-reliance on the first IDE that they use, particularly if they are not exposed to other IDEs. Many courses tend to use learning-based IDEs such as IntelliJ to teach programming. IntelliJ, for example, has had huge success at explaining object orientation and many aspects of the Java language to students. However, IntelliJ has been purpose-built to teach programming, and for that reason is not meant to be used in industry to develop software. Therefore, I feel it is important to be exposed to a professional IDE so that you can become confident with using it and begin to move away from the learning IDE that you've been using so far. For this reason, all of the coding demonstrations in this video will be done using IntelliJ. Not only that, all of the code examples that are used in this series are able to be downloaded. And I would recommend trying them out at home using IntelliJ. This will give you several opportunities to write some code and run the university program that has been developed for this series. But before we can look at the university program, let us first look at IntelliJ. So before we can go ahead and have a look at IntelliJ, I'm first going to give you a quick install guide for IntelliJ, just because it can be a little bit tricky getting all of the plugins and things sorted out, so we're just going to do that quickly. So first, I'd like you to head over to the jetbrains.com website and find the install page for IntelliJ. And we are going to be interested in this one here, the Community Edition. This is a free open source piece of software, and that's all we're going to need now to do simple Java programming. So once you download this .exe file and run it, you'll be introduced to something like this. So now we can start to install the software. So here is where the software will be installed to. It's file path. We're just going to leave that the default location for now. And then we're going to choose whichever operating system you're using, either 32-bit or 64-bit. Select which one you're using. And we just want simple Java associations for now. And then this is where you can choose what it'll be called in the start menu, which I'm going to leave that as the default. And now the program is going to install itself. So we're just going to take a minute out here just to wait for this installation to finish. So now that the installer has finished, we can go ahead and run IntelliJ. We do not want to import any settings, as this is the first time that we are setting up IntelliJ. And then now we can decide what theme we want IntelliJ to look like out of these two. So we just stick with the original for now. And this is where we can decide what plugins we want IntelliJ to have. So if you want to do Android development, for example, this is where you would enable it. But we're just be doing simple Java programming, so we don't need any of these for now. And we do not need either of these two as well, so we can move on from that. So once IntelliJ opens, you'll be introduced to this screen. So now you can decide to either create new projects, import projects, or open them. So for now, I'd like you to open the university program that I mentioned earlier. So we'll just go ahead and open that now. And once this loads, you'll be introduced to this tip of the day box here. I like to keep this enabled. I find it helpful when getting to learn IntelliJ, especially for you guys. It'll give you some genuinely helpful tips that you can use. So for now, we'll just close that. And the first thing I would like to draw your attention to is this here, where it says the project SDK is not defined. Now the SDK is the software development kit, and any IDE needs to have this installed in order for you to develop programs. So in this case, we need to find the Java development kit as we're writing Java programs. So we're going to go to here and set up the SDK. So I've already taken the time to install the latest version of the Java development kit. If you haven't already, now is a good time to head over to Google and to Google the latest version of the JDK. That should take you to the Oracle website. Install that and then save it somewhere that you can easily find it. It will usually be in the Java subdirectory of the program files. And here you can see the latest version of the JDK. So we'll go ahead and add that to IntelliJ. So it'll take a few seconds to scan these files and apply them to IntelliJ. So now we can use all of the latest versions of all of the latest features of Java rather, and then continue to write and develop Java programs in IntelliJ. So after that is finished, that is pretty much all there is to it for installing IntelliJ. So I'm just going to wait for this to finish to show you that all of these errors, all of these red words will go away. So now you can write some code, compile the code, and run that, which we'll move on to in a moment. So now we can have a look at the university program within IntelliJ. On the left here, we have the university program folder, and inside that there is a subdirectory called src. This is the source folder where all of the classes are stored, and you'll see that there are 6 classes within this program. The general idea of the program that we've made is to model a university where students can study a module or staff members can teach a module. So we've opened up these classes up here. The student class and the staff class just has general information specific to each one, both of which inherit from a person class. This person class defines general information, so first name, middle name, last name, etc. The module class here, so each module has a module name and a module code. And all of this is brought together into the controller class. Here we can see there are collections of all the students, all of the staff members, and all of the modules. And there is a general setup down here. So we've already pre-made some students, staff members, and modules just to demonstrate things too. But the class that we're really interested in is the tester class here. This is where all of our code in our demonstrations is going to be written to demonstrate to you the various techniques that we're trying to show you. So the first thing you should notice is this public static void main string args line here. If you haven't come across this already, you definitely will soon in your course. If you want to know more about it, I definitely would recommend Googling it, because it's a very important line of code that all programs does need. But for the time being, we can just think of it as this is the starting point in our program. So when we execute this program, anything inside this block here will be the first thing that is executed. So I'm just going to quickly write some code for you now, just to demonstrate how easy it is to use IntelliJ without actually typing a single word fully. So if I just type a capital C here, you can see it gives me a list of all the things that it thinks I could be using. So controller, class, character, char sequence, etc. So I can just go controller, and now I need to give the controller, so obviously this is going to be used to make an object of the controller class. We need to give that a variable name. So if I just type a small c, it will say that it wants to use that, equals n, we're going to use new, capital C, controller. And it automatically put the brackets at the end, so it knows that we're going to call the constructor of the controller class to make a controller object. And now we are going to call a method. So if we just go controller dot, we'll see that these are all of the methods that we have available in the controller class. So we can just pick one of these. So we'll pick the print state method, and it even automatically put the semicolon at the end for us. So that's all we really want to write for now, just to show you how simple it is rather. And we can run this by going run and run again. It's noted that the tester class here is the one it wants to use, because this is the only class where it's found this main method. So we click on that, it'll build the program, run it for us, and here we go, it's printed out all of the staff, all of the students, and all of the modules that we were expecting it to print. And it really is as simple as that to be able to write code and run things in IntelliJ. So that's really all we're going to show you today. I would recommend that you have a little look at all of these classes, become familiar with their functionality. It is nothing complex, but it is something, you should be aware of it anyway, so it makes things easier when you watch the rest of the series. So today we've had a look at what the series will contain, what the structure will be for the series. We've had a look at the IntelliJ IDE. We've had a look at how to install IntelliJ and the university program itself within IntelliJ. So in the next video, we're going to have a look at syntax errors, why errors are produced, and how to fix them. So thanks very much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.